So this is the drawing that I started last class when I was showing you how to do the different shapes. I went ahead and added in a circle to become a sphere in my picture. So I actually have 11. So you are welcome to add more than 10 if you would like. But 10 is your minimum. So if you are at this stage of your picture, then you are ready to start thinking about your liquid and how that's going to interact with your shapes. So the very first thing I want you to do is, before you start adding your liquid, is to erase any of your extra orthogonal guidelines that you have. So even if you leave them just a little bit faintly, at this point you don't need them anymore because you have all of your shapes. So you can go ahead and erase those so they're not in your way. Because then you'll start adding in lines for your liquid and everything will get confusing. Also, if you, because I can help you live with your shapes, but I do have that video that I recorded that you are welcome to watch that is with the assignment in Google Classroom under the classwork tab, the Falling Liquids assignment. So you can rewatch that anytime you need a refresher on how to draw your shapes. But I'm here, of course, as well. So kind of go through each shape and make sure you have your guidelines done. If you need to redraw corners, that's fine. This is why we try and practice drawing lightly so it's easier to erase these kind of lines. Because if you leave them there, then they will show up when you're doing your coloring. It might not make your picture look pretty. And at any point, if you feel like adding in a new shape, you can always stop and add in a new shape. In case while you're adding in your liquid and you want to try something else or have it reach a new kind of shape, you're welcome to add those in. You're always welcome to add more. So I'm just going to go back in and fix my shapes a little bit. And I am recording this session, so I'll put it up on Google Classroom once we're done. Okay, so once you're at this point and you have done your erasing of all your extra lines, you should just see your shapes. And then you are ready to start planning your liquid. So I know that I have kind of these 4 shapes up at the top. So I know that my liquid will interact with these 3 shapes first. So I can either determine if I want it to come from a singular source and move outward, or if I want to have multiple streams of liquid. So I like to do multiple streams because that just makes it a little bit easier. But again, you're welcome to do whatever you like. So from the top of my paper, I'm just going to draw kind of like a very light, almost a rectangle essentially, without the top and the bottom. And since I already have liquid here in this tank that I drew, I'm just going to leave that the way it is. But since these are clear, my liquid is going to come into this space. So I'm just doing this really lightly, just planning it out, just in case I change my mind later on. So my liquid here is going to be pouring into this tank, starting from the top. So then my next step, you can kind of do it one section at a time. So if I started here, I'm going to slowly work my way down until I reach the bottom. Then I can move on to my next set of shapes. And you can always have the liquid go in multiple directions off of one shape as well. So now I need to figure out how to take my liquid from this box to reach the one underneath of it. So do I want it to come from the bottom? Do I want it to come off of a side? If I do one from here, from how it's laid out, the liquid would kind of brush across the side and wouldn't really create that cool of a technique. But if I did one from this side over here, I could do something a little bit more. So perhaps there is an opening inside, and this shape will actually end up being in perspective as well. But if it's a little crooked for you, that's fine. So the tops and bottoms of this opening I'm going to create, just line them up with one of the vanishing points along the same side, and then the edges are vertical. So this will be an open slit. And then the liquid will just pour onto this shape. So I'm going to create 2 lines this way. Okay. So now that it touches the shape, I need to slowly figure out, is this shape going to be a solid one, so the liquid's just going to come off the top? Or is this going to be another fillable shape, so the liquid's coming out of it? Either one of those. I think I want mine to kind of be like an open topped box, because I like to mix it up. So these ones are I'm actually gonna add some holes, some circular holes in here for my liquid to come through. So we'll do about 4. And that way I can actually have 4 streams coming out of my shape. So it gives me a little bit of variety. So from the way that this shape is, I can't really see it touching, but I can tell that at least this stream here will reach this shape. So, and since it's over top of this one, I can just add some liquid lines underneath of it to show that the liquid's coming in. And then I already drew this as a fillable box, so I would just add in some wavy lines to it. Maybe it's solid, but the liquid's see-through, so just add some wavy lines in so it looks like it's full. So my last step would be figuring out how the liquid's going to leave this box and reach the bottom. And I think I'll do another kind of slit opening at the bottom. So I'm going to take my ruler and draw some lines with my vanishing point, and then these will be straight. So then I can just very simply add my lines for my liquid to come out. Like that. So it's basically the same process, and you'll just go one shape to the next. Think about how that liquid's going to interact with each shape. And then figure out, once you have it reaching the bottom and you've done each shape, then you can figure out how you want the liquid to pool at the bottom. So do you want it to just be a big puddle that reaches the bottom, and draw kind of that shape within here in the bottom part of underneath your horizon line? Or do you want to create kind of a vat or tub or something for it to fall into? And then you can do that kind of a thing, like a cylinder. You don't have to worry about the bottom part being in perspective necessarily. Okay, so Once I have all of my liquid and all my boxes have at least some kind of liquid touching them, and I have my bottom portion figured out, then my next goal is to figure out what I want to do in my background. So I could very simply just leave it the way it is, and when I go to color, it would have some variation, and I'll talk more about that next class. Or if I wanted to add some other elements in the background, like maybe I want this to be more factory-like, so I could add in another pipe or something that could have more liquid coming down. Or I could add some buildings in the background, like a cityscape silhouette kind of a thing. But they wouldn't be very big, so anything I draw on the horizon line will be very small. But you can also, if you want to add, think about if it's a daytime or if there's mountains in the background, you can add some mountain ranges in the back if you want to. You can add clouds. If you want to add a sun or a moon, think about daytime, nighttime, that kind of a thing. That kind of stuff you can throw in the background. Or like I said, you can just leave that part blank, and then when we go to color, that'll be when you focus on it.